For decades, historians and archaeologists have operated under the assumption that our understanding of ancient civilizations is relatively complete. We believe we know the major players, the timelines, the rise and fall of empires. But what if everything we've been taught is built on an incomplete foundation? What if there are documents, scrolls, and texts hidden away in private collections, locked vaults, and forgotten libraries that could fundamentally alter our perception of human history? The truth is, such documents exist, and their contents are so revolutionary that powerful institutions have worked tirelessly to keep them from public view. Throughout history, knowledge has been both a tool of enlightenment and a weapon of control. Ancient civilizations understood this principle intimately. The great libraries of antiquity, Alexandria, Nalanda, Constantinople, were not merely repositories of information, but centers of power. When these institutions fell, whether through conquest, fire, or deliberate destruction, invaluable knowledge vanished with them. Or did it? Evidence suggests that key texts were smuggled out, copied in secret, and preserved by those who understood their significance. These scrolls contain information about advanced technologies, lost sciences, and historical events that contradict official narratives. Consider the Nag Hammadi Library, discovered in Egypt in 1945. 13 leather-bound codices containing over 50 texts were found sealed in a jar, buried near an ancient monastery. These Gnostic Gospels presented an entirely different version of early Christianity, one that emphasized personal spiritual knowledge over institutional authority. The texts had been deliberately hidden in the 4th century, when Orthodox Christianity began suppressing alternative interpretations. If this library had not been discovered by accident, we would never have known about these perspectives. How many other collections remain hidden, waiting to be found or deliberately kept from scholarly examination? The Dead Sea Scrolls present another fascinating case. Discovered between 1947 and 1956 in caves near Qumran, these ancient Jewish texts date back to the 3rd century BCE. While many scrolls have been published and studied, rumors persist that certain documents remain classified or have been selectively released. Some researchers claim that scrolls containing information about the historical Jesus, alternative creation narratives, or advanced astronomical knowledge have been withheld from public scrutiny. Whether these claims are true or not, the fact remains that the process of releasing and translating the Dead Sea Scrolls has been marked by controversy, territorial academic disputes, and unusual delays that have fueled speculation about hidden contents. But the most intriguing ancient scrolls may not be those we've found, but those we know existed and have since disappeared. The Library of Alexandria, perhaps the most famous casualty of lost knowledge, reportedly contained over 400,000 scrolls at its peak. Works by Aristotle, Sophocles, and countless other philosophers, scientists, and historians were housed within its walls. When the library was destroyed, a process that occurred gradually through multiple fires and conflicts, the loss to human knowledge was incalculable. However, some historians believe that key texts were rescued before the final destruction. Arab scholars, Byzantine monks, and traveling merchants may have preserved copies of the most important works. If true, these documents could be hidden in private collections, monastery archives, or even walled-up sections of ancient buildings. The Vatican Secret Archives represent perhaps the most tantalizing possibility for hidden ancient knowledge. Officially renamed the Vatican Apostolic Archives, this collection spans over 1,200 years and contains approximately 85 kilometers of shelving. While the Vatican has gradually opened portions of the archives to qualified researchers, access remains highly restricted, and many sections have never been thoroughly cataloged or examined by independent scholars. What could be hidden in these documents? Some researchers speculate that the Vatican possesses ancient texts that predate Christianity, scrolls from the Library of Alexandria, or documents that would challenge fundamental church teachings. Others believe the archives contain evidence of advanced ancient technologies, contact with unknown civilizations, or historical events that have been deliberately erased from mainstream narratives. One particular category of ancient texts deserves special attention: those describing technologies and scientific knowledge that seem impossibly advanced for their time. The Antikythera mechanism, an ancient Greek analog computer discovered in a shipwreck, demonstrates that ancient civilizations possessed far more sophisticated technical knowledge than previously believed. If physical artifacts of this complexity existed, what information might be contained in texts describing other technologies? Ancient Indian texts, like the Vimana Shastra, describe flying machines with remarkable technical detail. Egyptian hieroglyphs at the Temple of Hathor in Dendera appear to show electric light bulbs. Chinese texts reference flying vehicles and advanced metallurgical processes. While mainstream archaeology often dismisses these descriptions as mythology or metaphor, what if some of these texts are literal descriptions of real technologies? The Baghdad Battery, the Saqqara bird, and the precision-cut stones of Pumapunku all suggest that ancient peoples possessed capabilities we don't fully understand. If instruction manuals or technical treatises for these technologies exist in undiscovered scrolls, they would revolutionize our understanding of human development. Some researchers believe that ancient priest classes possessed advanced knowledge in fields like acoustics, astronomy, mathematics, and even consciousness manipulation. This knowledge was recorded in sacred texts and passed down through initiate traditions. When these traditions were disrupted by conquest or religious persecution, the texts were hidden to protect them from destruction. Another category of potentially world-changing scrolls involves historical records that contradict established timelines. Orthodox history places the beginning of civilization in Mesopotamia around 3500 BCE, with earlier periods dismissed as prehistoric and primitive. However, sites like Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, dated to approximately 9600 BCE, demonstrate that complex, organized societies existed thousands of years earlier than conventional models suggest. What if ancient cultures possessed historical records extending back even further? What if there are scrolls describing advanced civilizations that existed before the last ice age? During periods when sea levels were dramatically lower and entire continents now underwater were habitable. The Piri Reis map, created in 1513, shows remarkable geographical knowledge, including an accurate depiction of the Antarctic coastline as it would appear without ice. The map maker claimed to have based his work on ancient source maps, some dating back to the time of Alexander the Great or earlier. If such source maps existed, what other geographical knowledge might be contained in ancient archives? Maps showing continents that no longer exist above water? Navigation charts detailing trade routes between civilizations we don't acknowledge existed. Geographical surveys conducted from aerial perspectives that shouldn't have been possible. Chinese imperial archives present another fascinating possibility. Chinese civilization has maintained continuous written records for over 3,000 years, and the imperial bureaucracy was meticulous in documenting events, astronomical observations, and technological developments. However, during periods of dynastic change and civil war, countless documents were destroyed or lost. The burning of books during the Qin dynasty in 213 BCE deliberately targeted historical records and philosophical texts. What knowledge was lost in these purges? Some researchers believe that ancient Chinese archives contained records of contact with foreign civilizations from across the Pacific, descriptions of technologies lost during periods of isolation, and astronomical observations stretching back thousands of years beyond the official historical record. The monasteries of Tibet represent another potential repository of ancient knowledge. Tibetan Buddhism preserved texts and traditions from ancient India, including tantric practices and philosophical systems that were lost in their homeland. Before the Chinese invasion of Tibet in 1950, thousands of monasteries housed extensive libraries of ancient manuscripts. While many texts were destroyed and monks persecuted, some collections were smuggled to safety in India, Nepal, and the West. However, rumors persist that certain monasteries in remote regions still maintain secret libraries containing pre-Buddhist texts, including records from the legendary kingdom of Shambhala and other mysterious Central Asian civilizations. The Islamic Golden Age preserved much ancient Greek, Persian, and Indian knowledge that might otherwise have been lost to Europe during the Dark Ages. The House of Wisdom in Baghdad, established in the 8th century, was a center of learning where scholars translated and studied ancient texts. When the Mongols sacked Baghdad in 1258, the House of Wisdom was destroyed, and countless manuscripts were thrown into the Tigris River, allegedly turning it black with ink. But not all texts were lost. Some scholars escaped with documents, preserving them in private collections throughout the Islamic world. Could these collections contain unique copies of ancient works that exist nowhere else? What makes these hidden scrolls potentially world-changing is not just their historical significance, but the practical knowledge they might contain. Ancient civilizations developed sophisticated understanding in fields like herbal medicine, psychology, agriculture, and sustainable living. Texts describing these practices could offer solutions to modern problems. Ancient Egyptian medical papyri have revealed surprisingly advanced surgical techniques and pharmacological knowledge. Ayurvedic texts from India describe complex systems of medicine based on thousands of years of observation. What other practical knowledge might be waiting in undiscovered manuscripts? The question remains, if these revolutionary scrolls exist, why haven't they been revealed? The answer involves a complex mix of institutional inertia, vested interests, and the simple fact that most ancient documents are in private hands or inaccessible archives. Academic institutions move slowly and often resist evidence that contradicts established theories. Religious organizations may view certain texts as threatening to their authority. Governments may classify documents for national security reasons, and private collectors often keep their acquisitions secret, either to maintain exclusive access or because they don't fully understand what they possess. The digital age offers new hope for uncovering hidden knowledge. Advanced imaging techniques can read scrolls too fragile to unroll, including the carbonized scrolls from Herculaneum destroyed by Mount Vesuvius. Artificial intelligence can help decipher ancient languages and identify patterns in fragmentary texts. Crowdsourcing projects allow independent researchers to examine and analyze documents that were previously accessible only to a small academic elite. As more archives digitize their collections and make them available online, the possibility increases that revolutionary texts will be discovered by scholars who approach them with fresh perspectives and without preconceived notions about what is possible. The ancient scrolls that could change everything we know may not require spectacular new discoveries. They might already be sitting in cataloged collections, dismissed as mundane administrative documents, or misidentified due to translation errors. They might be in private libraries, unknown to their owners. They might be hidden in plain sight, waiting for someone to recognize their significance. The real question is not whether such documents exist, but whether we are ready to accept what they might reveal about our past and the sophistication of our ancestors. The scrolls are out there, holding secrets that could rewrite history. The only question is, who will find them first, and whether they will have the courage to share what they discover with the world.